Hey y'all, Dr. Jazz here. I'm so excited to announce our first partnership. On this episode of the Purpose Podcast, I sit down with Shane and Isaiah of the shoe brand No Lost Soul. I personally own a pair of their boots and I absolutely love them. You'll learn more about our partnership with them at the end of the episode. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to the Purpose Podcast with Dr. Jazz, where I'm your host, Dr. Jazz, and we journey to purpose together. Today, I have with me Shane Williams and Isaiah Ruff of No Lost Souls. So I'm going to introduce them separately and then together. Shane is originally from New York City, but he currently lives in Delaware, and he does IT, and he's an entrepreneur. So I'm going to call him a jack of all trades. And now we have Isaiah Ruff. He's from Delaware and he's a husband, father, and aviation technician. So he also is a jack of all trades. And they own No Lost Souls, which is a brand built on the intersection of faith and fashion. How are y'all doing today?
We're good. How are you? Thank you so much for having us on the show.
No problem. I'm doing okay.
Doing great. How you doing?
Good. I've been editing podcasts today. So this is like podcast official day. So y'all got me on the video. So as usual, I just jump right in. So the first question I want to ask you all is, what does purpose mean to you?
Zay, you want to go first? Or
yeah, I can go. Purpose
show off the hoodie
means
as well too, sir.
Oh yeah, let them see that right there. Purpose. I mean, purpose. It's you self-identify it, right? But for me, I think about the definition a lot, and the definition is really the reason something was created or something exists. Again, for me personally, I think that a lot of the time, I used to think that purpose meant, your career or the way that you make money or monetization. But I think it's really just what you do best and what makes you feel, the best when you do that. It doesn't have to be work. It could be something that's a hobby. It could be an interest. It could be relationships with people that you have and building that could be your purposes, to be that person that people come to. So it's something that people can self-identify, but I think that it's really, to tie that up, it's just what you really, what you do best and like what you feel your calling is in this life.
Okay.
And then, I mean, to go ahead and run off of that, I think a lot of people, they live their life and don't understand what their purpose is until late, or they never actually live their purpose. And what I've learned is that, in life, you can have all of these material things, but at the end of the day, life is about people. So it's about relationships. So the material things or the money or whatever the case is, the things that you may get is to help other people at the end of the day. So it's a journey, right? So to me, I wanted to make sure that I found my purpose early. So that way, when I'm running into people, I'm able to help this person, that person, do this, do that. So in conclusion, I feel like it's about helping other people. That's what it is for me.
Those are cool. I like both of those definitions. I think I've done this. Y'all are probably, I don't know, episode maybe 18 or 19. There's always a new definition. And I really enjoy, Isaiah, how you said it's like the thing that you feel best when you do it. Like that was really dope to me because I was like, man, that's true. One time I recorded the episode with one of my friends, and when I got to his house, he was like, "What's wrong with you?" And like I had a whole attitude. And once the podcast started, I was like, "Hey," because I know that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's dope. And Shane, you said you found your purpose early. So I guess my question to that is like, how did you tell me the journey to I guess for me, it was like, I didn't wake up one day like, I need to find my purpose. So like, what made you do that?
Well, the thing for me is that like, I'm a very big motivator. So like if somebody says like, or tells me that they want to do a certain thing, like I'm always on them saying like, do this, do that, like, or I'll check on them. I'll be an accountability partner. So I'm kind of like an activator in a way. So I just realized that, you know, if you tell me something, I'm gonna make sure you push. Now, if you decide not to do it, that's on you. But I'm gonna be that friend. I'm gonna be that associate that's gonna like find the best in you and try and just push so you can have the most success. And I realized that I'm really good at doing that, or finding talents in people as well too, and then pushing them to do that talent. Um, so I think that's part of my purpose, is not just that, but also showing people like, listen, look at little old me. You know, I'm able to. Me and Isaiah have created this shoe company. I've done many other things as well too, and I'm only 31 years old. So you can literally change your life just by being consistent, by really just going after what you really want.
Hmm. Um, to that end, one, I think you can work for Parts and Projects. That's what we do. That's my other business. So we'll talk about that later. But
Absolutely.
two, so you're basically saying you followed the patterns that you had in your life that you saw.
Yeah. So wait. So you said follow the patterns, and
Yeah, that you saw in your life. Like I'm good at helping other people.
yeah. So just following. So it seems that I'm always running into people that want to start businesses, or want to start something, or want to accomplish. I mean, we all have goals, of course, but like, you know, I just run it. We end up having conversation, and people will say to me like, you're a really good person to vent to, you're really making me think in a different type of way. So I realized that I just have this thing where I try and push people to the max as much as possible.
That's cool. And Isaiah, back to your definition, you talked about the sense of calling. So where do you get the sense of calling from?
Um, I think I mean, it's kind of like the way I can answer the question is like a little bit with the story is um, one day I kind of just woke up, not one day literally in the sense, but like I kind of
Mm-hmm.
just woke up and was like, what am I doing? I'm going to work and that's all well, but what am I doing that's more? Like what am I doing that can help people? What am I doing that can um, change the world, thinking big like that. Um, I went down this kind of path or rabbit hole of trying to figure out, what entrepreneurship is. That happened through reading different books and people. My mom bought me a book, I think when I was 20. It was Steve Harvey's book, Think Like a Success, Act Like Success. That's like one of the first entrepreneurship books that I read, and it was about discovering your gifts and things like that. So I read that book. That led to another book like Rich Dad Poor Dad, and just a line of books after that. So um, this kind of goes into the story of how No Loss Soul was started. But when me and Shane were, you know, having different conversations, because we're friends, we chop it up all the time. It was like, you know, what can we do? We kind of had the same mindset. What can we do? We should start a business. I was on that wave of, trying to do something more, and he was kind of feeling the same way. Like, yeah, I really want to do something. He had already had a business before, but we're like, you know what can we actually do together? And we decided to give the shoe company a shot. But um, I think to answer the question, going back to purpose, it's like I think it's just a realization that you have, and it's like I felt like I was just existing, and I didn't want to just exist. I
Mm.
wanted to to do more, to live, to be
Mm.
intentional with what I do, instead of just going to work every day and just going through the motions of life. That's the best way I can answer it.
That's
I'll even
good.
add to
Oh.
that real quick. I feel like, you know, so I feel like purpose, I feel like you have to like jump off the ledge into something to really like. Purpose is a journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think you find your purpose unless you're stretched to the max. Like, so you have to go through a few things. You got to go through hills and valleys to really shed away the layers of who you are, to understand like, damn, well, I've been through this and I learned this lesson, I learned that lesson, to really find purpose. People that Not saying you can, but I feel like people that, want to walk the straight line in a way, it's harder to find purpose. I feel like you really need to be in the nitty gritty and trying different things to figure out who you are and what you are. Just want to add
Um,
that little.
and we appreciate it. To Isaiah's point, I'm just wondering about this existing versus living. And I think so. I'm an adventurer by nature.
Mhm.
If you tell me we about to get in the car and you're not gonna tell me where we going, I'm excited. Like I don't care. So when I hear what Shane said about trying everything, and I put it together with what you said about like this existing versus living, to me, like I literally go stir crazy if I actually me and my roommate have been talking about going somewhere like because I'm like in
I feel you.
2021, I only went to I'm from Louisiana. I only went to Louisiana and Georgia. That is not my life. Like I've been going crazy. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is like how can we change from this existing to living, right? If I'm not a trier of everything, right? If I'm not because I have an adventurous spirit, right? So in me is to just try it. But for people who need to move from existing to living and maybe struggling with trying, what is one thing that you can tell them to do?
It's a good
Um,
question.
mm, that is a good question. I think
I
it goes
think
back to
one.
what Shane said. Um, I'll let you go, but you kind of said that you need to just jump off the ledge. Like
I
you
think
have
But
what
I'm not
helped
a
to.
jumper.
me.
That's the thing. It's like I'm not a jumper.
I think the thing that helped me want to jump off, and it's part of your environment as well too, right? So I think one thing that helped me is reading. Reading was a big thing for me. I hate reading, but the thing is that in the past 3 4 years, reading has forced me to see things from a different perspective and realizing like, listen, I want to build legacy. I want to build something for my future children, my grandchildren, on and on and on. So it's like you don't get that if you just kind of just do the same old thing every day. Um, I really didn't answer the question in a way, but I don't know. I mean, I would say for me, reading helped me in a way, like just to see a different perspective and see what other people are doing and, see what other entrepreneurs are doing and just realizing that a lot of things aren't as hard as it seems. Like the
Mm,
quote from Michelle Obama, like she said she sat at the table with many leaders of the world, many business owners that make billions of dollars, and she said they're not that smart. So if you think about that, I think we look at like, the Bill Gates and the Elon Musk. I mean, yes, they're smart people and they have a lot of smart people sitting at their tables, but anybody could sit at some of these tables. Like anybody can make these moves. It's just the consistency and just really just going after it. But after, just reading about different people doing their thing, you just realize that all you got to just do is just make that first step, and then what you need will be added along the way.
Just to add to that real quick, it's like
mm,
exactly what Shane said. It's like small wins will add up to the big win. I mean, you could probably there's a bunch of examples you can use, right? But say you said you're not that in, say a person's not adventurous and they're, not really willing to try much. I'm trying to think of an example. Say, fresh out of college and they're living at home with their parents, but they want to move to, a new city to start, to start a career or something like that. But they're afraid to move to a new city. Um, Instead of, you know, my analogy is like jump off the ledge, which would be to just pack up your stuff and fly to the new city with no plans. Um, you can do your research on the city. You can use social media and things to find people there, try to connect and maybe visit there first, visit there a
mm.
few times. Um, just small things to build up that confidence, build up, those small wins. And then eventually that task of moving there won't seem as daunting. And that could, you know, I think you could probably use that analogy with a few different things, but small wins.
Thank you. So y'all heard it. If you're not a leaper like Isaiah, Shane, and I, you just do small wins until you get there. So I appreciate that. So we're gonna move on to our not next story, our next question. How did you get to your purpose? Tell me your journey. So this is you want to talk about no lost souls. You want to talk about individually, whatever you want to do. How did you get to where you are?
I would start out by saying that for people that don't gravitate towards education or school, I was a horrible student. So let me just say that. Absolute trash. Just like
Okay.
C's, D's, F's, just horrible. So, getting me, so the fact I'm at this point in life is a testament to God and then also my parents and family and everything as far as them motivating and pushing me. And then it's just, I mean, so what I will say is that, so me and Isaiah, we met at the same church. I think we were in middle school, maybe high school around that time in Newark, Delaware. And we knew each other ever since. And, he went off to college and I was doing my community college, just lollygagging, playing around, just not even taking life serious at all. Um, and then I eventually found, I've always been interested in computers and technology, and of course, that's where a lot of the jobs are, good jobs, right? So, eventually got into that, and it led me to where, and of course, me and Isaiah stayed in contact the whole time, of course, and it just led me to where I ended up moving to Baltimore. Um, and then it just so happened it so happened that Isaiah moved to Baltimore at the same time. Of course, we stayed in contact, talking about different businesses, on and on and on. And we came up with this silly idea to create a shoe company. And then I'll let Zay say his parts of filling the gap, on that other side there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the question was how are we finding our purpose? Was that what you were asking?
Sure.
Okay.
So the
I
question
mean,
really is, it's really like, what was your journey to purpose?
oh,
But
what was the
yeah,
journey
yeah,
to
yeah,
Well,
purpose?
I was
Right.
thinking
yeah,
I
that
mean,
I was gonna let Zay say his piece, then show you how it all,
yeah.
Anyway,
right,
sorry. Good.
right.
Good. Good.
No, because I was just thinking like I'm still finding my purpose like daily.
It's
I
a
just know that
journey.
I'm not I know where I'm not where I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be yet. I'm just chasing that person who I'm supposed to be. But to bring it into terms of like no lost soul, it was like yeah, I mean, we just had that common connection, which was the church and God and faith, and we were two fly dudes, and we decided that one, we don't want to make a clothing company because that was very cliche at the time, and there were people
Mm.
just throwing logos on
T-shirts.
t-shirts, and we are like, we're two, and there's no, um, black-owned shoe companies by men that we could really find at the time. So we're like, in order to be in a niche, in order, I think we have, the creative mind to do it. I think that, um, we could definitely figure it out, and that's kind of where we went from that. And it was just kind of like the perfect storm and the perfect timing of us both moving to Maryland and wanting to do more. It was, just created that way.
Mhm. You have anything to add, Shay?
So what I will say is that, I mean, all right, so I'll start with the beginning part of No Lost Souls. So of course we came up with, what we wanted to do and, starting this shoe company. And what I will say is that we were 1000% green to this whole
Mhm.
process. And going to where this is all a journey, purpose is a journey, life is a journey. So we started doing this. Well, we came up with the idea end of 2017, and then we launched beginning of 2018. And literally, had all these shoes and flipped the switch on for the website, and we had zero sales for the first day. So here we are thinking, you know, we about to sell out. This is about to
This is
pop off.
after this is after 5 months of, almost, or four, probably
Right.
about 4 months, I would say, of like promoting on Instagram, or what we thought was promoting. Like, oh, the shoes are on the way, the shoes are going to drop, and we're thinking that followers create $2, and it was
really don't. Nah.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
It doesn't. I mean, what we learned is that, like, I mean, you'll see pages that have hundreds of thousands of followers, and you'll hear some of these people that own these pages, and they'll say, we're not monetizing, we're not making money from our followers. But we were so green at the time, looking at what other people were doing and not knowing how social media worked, knowing how, sales worked, knowing how the whole shoe game worked, and just thinking like, all right, we're about to sell all of these shoes. Is going to be a quick, like, all right, we sell out, we re-up, sell again, and we're going to make this amazing brand and make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And definitely wasn't the case at all. So it was definitely, we got humbled really quick. Let's just say that. Very, very quick.
I was going to ask another question based off what y'all said, but that is an interesting point. How does humility play into not only building a business, but how you are finding, because that's okay. That's what the whole podcast is about, people finding or have found your purpose, right? Because when you said that, I was like, dang, I've been humbled a lot on this journey. So how does humility, play a role into everything?
I mean, you have to have it. You can't think that, you're just, the greatest creator there was of something, and everything that you do is supposed to sell out, right? I mean, we're still humbled, weekly by certain things that we think are going to pop, and they just, they
really
don't.
don't.
We think, yeah, this post should do well, or when we drop this shoe, we should sell this many the first week or the first month. And I think humility will just really keep you at the drawing board. And along with humility, you have to have just sheer will. And when things don't go your way, I mean, you can't quit. I mean, especially with, an e-commerce business, it might look all good on the outside and on the forefront, but behind closed doors, no one knows like what your business is doing. You can fake anything these days, right? So it's important to have humility. I'll let Shane add what he needs to.
I mean, I would say, yeah, humility is a big thing, because as a business owner, I would say there's more losses than wins, honestly, sometimes. There'll be times where you'll just scratch your head. Me and Isaiah have had plenty of discussions where I said to him, like, probably we should just throw this whole thing away and just go do something different, walk away from it. It's not working out. And after sitting down, I'm like, Shane, you're crazy, because you at least got to do something for 5 years to really see, because, success is not, people look at overnight success. Overnight success is like 5 to 7 years, maybe even 10 years. So you're not going to get, where you need to go in just a short time span. So you really have to put the work in, consistency. There's times where, we feel so unmotivated. There's times where I don't want to create no content. I don't want to take no pictures. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do nothing for the website. I don't want to talk to customers. I don't want to do anything, but you still got to push anyway. So it's journey, right? It's just all part of the journey.
What this has nothing to do with y'all talking about, but I just want y'all to know y'all are lucky to have two of y'all. I'm building two brands with one person. Okay, thank God. But anyway, I understand everything that y'all are both saying. I never really thought about being humble weekly, because I think I am too. Like, every time y'all say something, I'm like, wait, yes, weekly. I feel like I'm humbled. I think it's the first week since I've been in business. Sidebar, I also started in 2017. It's actually launched in 2018. But one of the things that I'm learning more and more is that, like, the wins come, and then it's kind of like, and then there's a win, and it's like, so like this week is the first week in business I'll be totally honest. For 3 years that I have like made a weekly goal of this is how much I want to make, and I made it. Like every other week, I'd
This
be
is
like,
good.
oh, we gonna try next week.
Mhm.
You know, like, ah, man. But I think that I said that to say that like the wins do come. So when we're
Okay.
pursuing our purpose and when we're pursuing these things that I'm gonna ask y'all a pointed question right after this. These things that God has given us, like the win will come. You just have to, you
Okay.
gotta do some fighting, right? And I don't think that
Mhm.
Yeah.
everyone's ready to do that. And my question to that is like, where did No Lost Souls like come from? Like, I found y'all on IG, and I was like, bro, like this is dope. Like, no lost soul, so ha ha ha. Right? Like I just thought it was like anytime I thought about it, I was like, bro, like this is so dope. Like that's why I reached out to y'all. So where did the concept come from? This intersection of faith and
Fashion.
fashion. What is this intersection of faith and fashion? Like where did this all come from?
I mean, I would say a lot of it is definitely our, spiritual background. Like God is like the core of everything, right? So for us, it is, because there would be nothing without Him. So it's just we wanted to make sure that we took our hustle, our style, and our faith, and just put it all together. Intersection, right? Just put it all together, and come up with something that's gonna motivate people, something that's gonna give people a dope style, something that's gonna be seen in the Black community where it's like, damn, these brothers are really like doing something out here of quality. So I think that was our mindset. As far as coming up with the name, I mean, me and Zay were just writing names down on a piece of paper, napkin, or whatever, and we were like, he wrote some names down, I wrote some names down, and then when it was like no law, so it's like, all right, that gotta be it because,
Mhm.
like I said, because of the spiritual background and everything.
And just to add to the play on words, SOLE versus your actual soul, it was like, if we're going through this and trying to find purpose and trying to do things, um, there's got to be millions of other people who feel the same way, right? So if we can build a brand that tries to bring everyone together, it's like no souls are lost, no one's left out. We're all in this together. We're all trying to do better. We're all trying to, hit goals and do dope things. So I mean that was part of the name too. And then we also um I mean eventually once we blow up after the podcast and
Come
everything,
on.
um once we blow up, we really want to do our best, to give back when we can because that's important, and other younger kids and people need to know that if we can do it, you can do it. In this day and age, there's nothing that should really stop you. So, just trying to give some information to the youth and try to do what we can there. So
Cool. Um, so also sidebar to all the listeners, their shoes are really dope. I'm not having them on here just because they're talk about purpose. I have a pair. And their t-shirt that says walk by. That ain't what it says. Walk into your purpose. That's what it says. I own that shirt as well. So you could be like me and buy that shirt and buy some shoes. Okay. So my next question is about like purpose in relationship with other people. So I've actually had like couples on, so it's a different type of relationship. But like y'all are friends and y'all are like friends. Y'all been friends for a long time. So how
mm,
does your purpose push each other? Does it play off each other? Are y'all, just how does it work in relation with one another?
I think I mean it's a blessing, like you were saying, like we should be grateful that we have two people versus one person, right? I think, I mean, Shannon and I both have strength and strengths and weaknesses. I mean, he's the IT guy. He's really good at creating content. He's really good at website development. Um, a lot of the tech things. I feel like I'm a bit of a creative. I'm good with words and um, captions and trying to write blog posts, and we're collaboratively we're good on designing shoes and things like that. So um, I think I don't know. I don't want to be like, I don't want to sound mushy, but like we were just meant to do. We were just meant to do this, bro. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
that's all it
mean,
was. And yeah, go ahead.
I mean, what I will say is that it's also a very good thing to like have somebody you can bounce things off of and vent to. So when you're by yourself, it's like, who can you really talk to? You can't really talk to an outside person because they're not in the business. So it's nice to be able to have somebody to be like, bruh, like, I'm not feeling it today, or I don't want to do this, or oh, this is a good idea, or let's make this move, let's do that. So it's good to, I would say, anybody starting a business, try and find your co-founder or find your business partner or find your teammate or whoever it is, because journeys I feel are meant to do with other people, depending on what it is. So I feel like you should always try and find one or two other, persons to go along that journey with.
Hit him with the Shane. Hit him with the. I think you told me this before, and it was something about um, you know, some paths are just supposed to align through life, right?
Some
Or maybe
passes. Refresh my brain.
he's too deep. He don't remember everything. But I swear one time we were having a conversation. He was
Oh
just
yeah,
like,
we're I mean, so we're all travelers and vessels. Is that what I said?
there we go. There we
There
go.
we go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I mean, we're all travelers and vessels, right? So it's like I believe that there's seasons, right? Like I said, life is about people. So you're gonna meet people that are meant to be in your life for 1 minute, 2 months, years, or until death. And I feel like once you come to terms with what that really is and realizing that there's a season for everything, then you can start to kind of deal with this life better and just realizing that we're not here forever. So you need to make the best of your time. Like you really need to focus and target in on what you're here and what you're supposed to do and not waste it. Don't wait till you get to, not saying that you can't make major moves when you turn 70 or 80, because I mean, we hear people do that all the time, but
Yeah, you're always
I
growing and
mean,
evolving.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you use your time wisely while we're
I
here.
actually was talking on a Facebook Live yesterday about my other business. Shout out to Parcel Projects because I shouted out every podcast. I was talking about that one, and we were talking. The girl, she's not a girl. The woman was talking about in James where it says like life is but a vapor, and she said she was doing some background research, and she found out that a vapor only lasts 2 or 3 seconds. And she was like, just think about like your life in the eons of time. These are her words, not mine. So get shout out to the listening for people quote me. She was like, think about your life in the eternity, and your life is really only 3 seconds. So what are you doing with your 3 seconds? To your point of like, let's get on it. Like let's figure it out. Let's work towards
If
something.
them 3 seconds, you better go all out
Yeah,
with everything.
yeah,
Just do it. Just
yeah,
do it all.
yeah.
What you got to lose, really? I mean, nothing.
That's deep. That's deep. And I'm thinking about you made me think about business as well, right? Like say you, since we're all, chasing entrepreneurship here and we all have businesses, say you start a business and it only lasts for a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
That might not be the thing that was supposed to take you to your purpose. It was just the vehicle to get you to where you're supposed to go. Um, I think I heard TD Jake say that once, like, if it's not the thing that then it will lead you to the thing. So when we go back to being adventurous and trying things, everything that you do or start to create is not the be all end all, right? And it's okay to switch from one thing to another. Um, but yeah, once you realize how short life is, I mean, you should want to try a few things and
Yeah.
yeah.
So one of the things you just said was it's okay to go from thing to thing, and I know y'all are like tired of me asking y'all like these probing questions, but I just know my clients and I know my listeners and what they think about, because for so many people, it's hard to just be like, I tried it, it didn't work, let me move on to something else, right? So what do you say to people? Okay, when you have, you said I have wins, then we have a lot of losses. What do you say to people who are just lost at the lot? You know, like how do you get them to say it's okay, like try something new?
Whew. To try something new, right? So one thing I will say is, all right, so let's say you start a business. There's things that you've learned in that. Even, all right, so let's say you start a business and it fails.
Mm-hmm.
Even in that failure, there's still things that you've learned.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to look at it, you got to analyze, okay, what did I learn from this failed process? And when you sit down and think about it, you've probably learned a lot. And what you've learned, you can now use that energy to go ahead and create something new. So, for instance, with No Lost Soul, I mean, we've taken thousands of pictures because we got to create content. We do advertising, we do this, we do that, web development. So my skills on so many other things have gotten sharper to where now I do photography. I help people with their websites. So I think people need to look at, okay, I started this, I learned this. Now let me use that skill to put forth into something else. So you want to?
No, that's a good explanation.
You're gonna okay.
Okay, great. No, I was trying to leave the floor open. I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
yeah, I think I mean just just using energy to energy just to push forward into something
potential
else, yeah.
energy. Yeah. You have energy
absolutely.
stored up. Okay, guys. So my next to last question, because I asked a last question, then I asked like another last question. So my next last question is, if you don't know, it's okay. What, if you can articulate it, what is your purpose?
To help
I
people.
already said I'm still trying to
That's
figure
why
mine
I said
out.
it's okay.
You mean
Yeah.
what is No Lost Souls purpose, or individually, or it doesn't?
However you
I would
feel.
say right now, as it's evolving, it's
Mm-hmm.
to motivate and help people live with intent. I mean, and that's one of our slogans as well too, is live with intent, is never too late to reinvent yourself. That's another one of the things that we say, is that it's never too late. So you could be 30, 40, 50, 60, thinking that you're washed up, or thinking that it's the end of the road, but you can reinvent yourself. People reinvent themselves all the time. So it's just giving that motivation to help people realize that you can continue to grow and just be something better.
And
I
Isaiah is
completely
still on
agree.
the journey. And that's okay. That's
Individually,
okay.
yeah, I'm still on the journey, but yeah, Shane said it best. As far as company wise, right? Just um, really just trying to build a community of like-minded people. And I mean, I think it's dope when we see customers wearing their shoes, right, doing whatever it is that they're doing, whether it's just for a picture, or whether they're going to work, or if we get reviews that say, I get compliments on these shoes all the time, it's like, wow, we really thought of this out of thin air, and we made something that's out there in the world, and something that people actually enjoy, right? Um, and it just makes you want to do more. I mean, that's like one of those wins that trumps a bunch of losses.
Yeah.
And it just makes you want to keep pushing, and just keep the train going.
Yeah, I think it's dope that y'all like. I don't know why I would assume that y'all don't see the shoes on people. I don't know why, but when you said that, I was like, "That's dope!" Like to be walking in the wall. Well, would you wear those shoes to Walmart? I don't know. To be walking in Walmart and like see those boots on someone, like that is like dope. Like, do you ever
That's
walk
pretty
up to
fire.
people, or do you just kind of let it be? Like,
I mean, I think you get to the point to where you let it be. I think one exciting thing for me was Zay, when your friend, when Sammer, when he saw, so my sister has a friend that lives in Pittsburgh,
Mm-hmm.
and Zay's friend, Isaiah's friend Sammer, was so happy to be in Pittsburgh at the same time, and my sister's friend was at the Cheesecake Factory, and Sammer was there just picking up some food or whatever the case is, and she looked over, was like, "Aren't those Shane's shoes?" Walked up to him and was like, "Do you know No Lost Soul?" And Sammer was like, "Yeah, I'm best friends with Isaiah," on and on and on. And then just to hear this whole story of
Yeah, that's
two
dope.
people that we know, but they didn't know each other, and just to hear that whole story was amazing in itself. So
But that goes to
it's
Isaiah's
definitely dope.
point of like creating community, right? So now there's
Yeah,
a conversation, there's a bond over this pair of shoes that you would have
wasn't there
never thought
before.
of. Yeah, it wasn't there
Yeah,
before. That's dope.
sure, sure.
That's dope. Okay, so my last question really is what if people get nothing else from this episode, what would you like them to leave with?
How bad? Oh man, how to say it? I mean, how much do you want it, right? I think that's what I think about. How much do you want to? Where do you see your life? Where do you want your life to be? Where do you want your life to go? And what steps are you willing to take? And what losses are you willing to take in order
Mm,
to get there? To be the person who you're supposed to be the person God destined you to be. Um, and you know, I just want to tell people to live their purpose. Don't put so
mhm,
much pressure on it. Like I said before, small wins, and just try to do something every day. Just be intentional about
mhm,
whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's calling, your parents, calling your mom, or talking with your spouse, talking with friends. Make that meal that you make just a little bit better so you can
mhm,
enjoy it and know that you're
mhm.
actually doing something. That would be my message.
That's dope.
I think for me is just to take a little bit, probably too deep, but I kind of sometimes reverse it in backwards and think of obituary and then going forth of like, okay, I'm on my deathbed. I want to be able to say that I did this, and this, and like
Mm,
didn't have any regrets. Right. So I think like, all right, when God's willing, late 80s, 90s, I'm thinking to myself, well, I did this business, I did that. I'm leaving a legacy for my kids and my grandkids. Um, and I didn't stop. I was consistent. I kept going. And I had this end result. So I would say, think about it on that terms, like live your purpose. And if you haven't found it yet, keep searching for it. And just, I'll say consistency and finding your purpose is number one, and just don't stop.
thank you to you both for being here. Please tell everyone where they can find you individually or no loss all. It doesn't matter.
At No Lost Soul on everything: Instagram, Facebook, website www.nolostsoul.com. Best shoes that you'll ever own. Stylish, comfortable.
That comfort part is
Come on,
important. It's important,
commercial.
you know.
Don't just listen to us. Your host said it best. She has her own pair. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Purpose Podcast with Dr. Jazz, where we journey to purpose together. Today we had a discussion with Isaiah and Shane of No Lost Soul. And as promised at the beginning of the episode, we have our first partnership. If you're a listener of the Purpose Podcast and want to purchase their amazing shoes, use the code PURPOSEPOD and let them know we sent you. Their website and contact info will be in the show notes. And as always, remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you all next week.